We are going to have to start this video off on quite a sad note. So I've come up to do the goats this morning to find one of our girls has drowned in a bucket of water throughout the night.
Hello, good morning and welcome back to our channel. I'm Alex.
I'm Molly.
And our farm is called Quinta Fonte da Pipa here in central Portugal. Some of you that might wonder what our channel name is all about, it's actually the name of the farm. Some of you that watch our channel quite regularly, you'll remember the lovely little goat that was in our thumbnail last week, a small brown baby goat. Poor Molly came up this morning and found her drowned in one of the water buckets here. Obviously we're not going to show you that because it's upsetting for us, but I'm sure nobody wants to see a poor dead animal. Unfortunately it's part of farm life, but I feel pretty responsible because again, like we were explaining in last week's video, the way jobs just get pushed aside because of the heat or other things turn up. We kept meaning to put an automatic waterer in here for the goats, because when you've got baby animals, it's not so bad when they're grown, but baby animals, buckets really are not a good idea. Even sort of shallow containers like this, I don't know how on earth she's got in the bucket, because she's one of our bigger baby goats.
She's 3 months old, so it's not like she's a newborn small baby that's not drank from a bucket before. I
don't know if she was trying to sort of drink from the bucket and a bigger one has come along and knocked her and she's gone in the bucket head first and just couldn't get out of it. I just don't know, but I feel kind of responsible for that, because at the end of the day, we're their owners, we're their keepers, we're the ones that look after them.
I'm responsible for their health and their well-being.
So I'm pretty gutted this morning, feeling a bit crap about myself, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but it's something that's got to be changed. And well, Molly doesn't enjoy it, none of us enjoy it. Who enjoys it, you know? So unfortunately that's something that's a bit sad for us this morning. I've obviously had to go and bury her. And I've been out this morning very early and I've bought a new automated feed waterer, which is what we should have bought a long time ago, but these are €50 each, which doesn't make them cheap, and we could really do with probably the amount of goats we got, and 4 of these at least in the shed. One's going to be sufficient at the moment. We've got 2 buckets of water. We very rarely see more than 2 goats drinking at one time, but you really ought to have one water for every sort of 10 goats that you've got. So we could do with some more of these, but right now we just can't afford to buy any more. You're going to see me fitting the pipework for it and installing this. Unfortunately, it's being done for
wrong reasons.
Well, it's being done for the right reasons, but being forced to do it because of something that's caught us up and bit us on the arse, basically. I was too slow installing it all, so which is why on the list of jobs this thing didn't get mentioned, because there's probably another 50 jobs I didn't even mention last week. What's up, little one? You want to come for a cuddle? No, doesn't want to come for a cuddle.
Nosy.
So hopefully once I get this fitted very shortly, the buckets are going and we're not going to use them anymore. So I'm doing this for the second time now. As you might have seen in a previous video, I'd actually already dug this water channel out here before, because there's a black irrigation tube in here which I put in many years ago, which runs all the way around here and it goes all the way over there, all underground, which used to put the water there for our pigs when we used to have pigs, which we don't have anymore. I'm going to tee into this and run this across here. I've got to work out how I'm going to get the tube in the building yet, whether I come up the side of the building here a bit like this wooden pole like that there, but then the problem with that is it shouldn't freeze. You get a couple of hours where it gets sort of below freezing in the winter times, but the way the climate's changing and everything else, you never know, the winters might get a bit harder here, but definitely in the summer that little bit of water there will probably be half of the water that we've bought for the goats, and it will probably be very, very hot or boiling. So what I might do is put this here, but then I'm going to build a little wooden box to go over it, which I'll put some insulation inside of it to keep the heat away from it, because that being boiling hot water will make the bowl of water in there very hot, and that's not good to sort of give your animals hot water. It's better than nothing, but I'd rather try and keep it cool for them. So I've managed to get the pipe exposed underneath it and above it, so I can get my hand around it. And then I'm wondering how much water's in this system that goes all the way back there to the big tank, and I should think that's quite a lot of water in there. It's got a big bore pipe. So Molly's gonna go around on the bike. Molly can make a 5-minute walk in seconds now without getting exhausted. She's going to go and turn the tap off, and I'm wondering then if we open a tap that's on this system further down the farm to take the water out of this system, because I've got to drill a hole in this to get a connection on it, and if I don't drain it, I think this is going to fill up with loads of water and cause me a problem. It might soak away really quickly, but I doubt it because the ground's very, very dry. So Molly's going to whiz off now on her bike and go and turn the tap on for me. Thank you, Molly. This is going to get used to go like that to go into the building, but normally I'd have a straight one, and what you'd need to do is you'd need to be able to move the pipes back to put them back in the joiner, and with this buried underground that's near on impossible unless I dig up literally 20 meters, so I've got enough flex in both pipes to come up, put them in the connector and then reconnect them. That's impossible. So you can buy a saddle join, which is like this, which clamps around the tube, has an O-ring on it. So what I'm doing now is I'm just getting the position right down here where it's going to go, and then I've got another fitting here which screws into it, and then I'm going to put the black pipe onto it. I'm just going to drill the hole now, and I am expecting to get a bit wet. I hope my drill's going to be all right. There's the clamp, that's how it'll clamp onto it. I'm going to drill a hole in the centre there, in the centre of the hole here. This pipe's going to be full of water, isn't it, Lucy? Hey? Let's see, eh? See how we get on. There we go, some water. And I'm going to have to let that drain out, or I'm going to soak my drill, and I don't want to destroy my drill, do I, Lucy? Oh, hello Lucy, you come to join in, hey? Oh, a bit thirsty are we? Mm-hmm. As the water's coming out, what you might notice is Lucy's just walked by and dropped some powder down. Look, can you see the dust is actually sitting on top of the water there? This is what I was trying to sort of explain, which I think I did a bit of a bad job of explaining about it. But I was trying to explain the other week about me irrigating the fields with my sprayer, or flood irrigating it like this. And the reason why I don't think flood irrigating is going to work for me as the first time of watering a field when it's this dry is it literally won't soak in the ground, and it won't. Look, you see it running off the wall there. It literally, this dust, once the ground, once it becomes dirt dry, you have to saturate it for a long time before it will slowly absorb the moisture. Once it's got moisture in it, then you can irrigate it well, but as you can see, the mud doesn't actually like joining with the water initially.
It's like when you make chocolate milk and the powder sits on top.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just, but as you can see, I just thought that's a side point to explain about what I was saying. You can literally just see it sat on the top. And I just think if I broke some of those open, yeah, they're still dry inside. The lumps are it's only the outside that gets wet. Eventually the water's stopped. I was getting fed up of waiting with a pinprick of a hole. So I've managed to drill it out the right size, which you can see my thumb going in there. That's a 25mm hole. There's an O-ring that goes in there. And the hole that you drill is slightly undersized of this hole here. That will go on there, that will go on there, and then we shall clamp them together like that. So, and we're just checking we've got that evenly round the hole, which feels pretty darn good. I've got all the nuts and bolts here. And I'm hoping I've got room at the back down here, which I think I dug it out deep enough. Which I did. I'm just struggling to find the hole. Said the actress to the bishop. Right, there's one. I think what we'll do is we'll get the bolts through, because they're not, as you can see, they're not sliding simply through those holes. Oh, well, that's good of them, isn't it? It was a sealed packet. It's got 6 holes and 4 bolts. It should be fine, because this isn't exactly super high pressure. If it does leak before, because obviously, like with other plumbing I've shown you before on the farm, don't fill these trenches back in until you've turned everything on and left it for at least a few hours to check that there's no leaks coming. Because water's funny. Sometimes it might not leak for half an hour and then all of a sudden a little drip will start. So it's not that it would make a problem here, it would irrigate the ground for us, but all it'll do is unknowingly drain our water tanks, and you don't want that. So I've got those on there. I'm going to bring it back down again. Yeah, we're neatly over that hole. I brought one of my guns. There we go. Now, yeah, that feels good. I can't feel the O-ring, so that's pressed on the edges. Now what we've got to do is fit this. I've got to take this fitting off first, which I'm hoping I'm going to get off. Yep.
Nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, I know, it wasn't a very pleasant sound, was it? Right, now I'm going to try and get this off without taking my fingers off. So it's always good to have a sharp knife. Right, as part of that, don't cut things like that, because you might slash yourself in the face. And the reason I'm telling you that, it was I was about 4 years old and my dad had a shop, and when he was wrapping something up that he was selling, I cut the ball of string for them like that, and I cut my nose completely in half, right down my face, right like that. So don't ever pull a knife towards your face. And funnily enough, Sandra, my wife, we never knew each other then at that age, she did exactly the same thing, but she stuck a standing knife straight in her eye. So it can happen.
What's the phrase? Do as
I say, not as I do. Yeah. Right, I did. There it is. Brought some of the old Teflon tape. And this fitting is an old fitting from the farm when we moved in. Every fitting I take out, or I replace it, or I've changed the order of how it was initially in the farm so it suits us better. Keep everything. I mean, that's probably €3.50, sorry. So they're all worth keeping. It's doing me a turn now. And more importantly, in Portugal, you're not having to drive for 45 minutes to go and get one thing. And now I need to go back down to the house. Maybe I'll have to have a look over there. There might be some over there of some of the black inch tubing, and then I need to go and get another one of these right angles. The pipe's going to get connected on there with the Jubilee clip like you've just seen. It'll come up here and it's going to come up the wall here. I'm hoping we can drill through the woodwork there, come down and this way, and then, as I said, later on I'm going to build a wooden box over this with insulation inside it, so it stops this, protects it from the heat and the frost basically. There we go. Oh, beauty. So that should go through there. I'm going to go off for a hunt, look for some black pipe. And we're not going to need much more than that, I wouldn't have thought. No, that'll be enough, wouldn't it? That's plenty.
I take maybe an extra couple inches just for...
Guess what I left behind? My knife. I'll go and get the bike then. Oh. That's a lifesaver, that bike, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially when you need to chase goats.
Well, just anything like doing this. Well, it's only a couple of 100 yards, but you do that 20 times in a day, or I've got to walk all the way back to the house. I mean, it sort of finishes you off. So 2 meters, yeah, that's plenty. Right. And that lot. How long's it been since the fire, Molly? It's the third year. Third year. That's 3 years growth. So at some point in the winter, I'm going to cut, I don't know, 25, 30 meters of that lot back. I don't want the intensity of the heat getting into the farm. So, especially with things like this here, just the radiant heat from this lot burning would probably melt most of this. But also we're more organised, aren't we, with our firefighting trailer. So fingers crossed, we should be fine. Shove this pipe on. There we go. Not over tighten it with this and then destroy the Jubilee clip. There we go. Now I'm hoping this is going to go down back in there. That's the line where I'm going to want it. So up to here. Oh, I'm going to want the tube at the wall. That's probably going to... Done this before and you always cut it a little bit too long because you can't get an accurate measurement from it there. Oh, that's always good, isn't it? That one's got its innards missing. Back down to the shed for me then. Oh, we'll leave this bit in the sun whilst I go and get another fitting. So this will warm up and it will make it straighter, easier for me to straighten. Back on the bike, back down to the shed, get a couple of more bits. That's easier on the legs. Well, as I thought when I put this on, normally you have a O-ring that goes on last, and there wasn't one in this packet. So I think, and with the other end missing, I've obviously used this part to fix other ones in the past, but I've always got, I mean, I've got a shed full of boxes of, not loads and loads, but I've got spares and access, you know, where we've done one job and you've overbought. There we go, because like this one, got the collar, the spacer and the O-ring. I'd be amazed if this would stop water pressure with no O-ring in there, no rubber, just plastic to plastic. So I'll quickly put this back on. I just wish I wasn't doing it for the reasons we're doing it, but it needed to be done. I just wish the poor little goat didn't have to Slap her like that. The tube's nice and hot. That should straighten out a little bit.
My question is, will you go through the barn first or to the connector first?
No, I'll do that bit last. You always work your way from one way and work your way towards the end of the job. Well, I always do anyway. I'm not saying that's how you must do it. In there like that. And I want that one to come out there, which wants me cutting it off there. My hand just moved, so measure twice, cut once, as they say. And I've cut it what I think is probably about 10 millimeters too long. Because too long you can cut something off, too short you can't add stuff to it. And that is going to be perfect by the time that goes in there. Right, now we can put this one on. But what will now, Molly asked me, will I put, now I'll put that through there, but just enough so it connects to this, and then because it's through there, then we can chop it exactly where we want it. Like we were explaining in our other videos, things get in the way. In fact, this is a perfect example. Something really needs doing. It's been put off and put off and put off because of other jobs that need doing. I had other jobs planned for today. They've gone out the window because after finding that poor little girl in a bucket, this needs doing, doesn't it? You know, and money and all the rest of it not to buy the things. So we've managed to go out and get that waterer. But I'm going to build, I'm calling it a nursery. It's going to be a birthing. It's going to be at the back of the barn here, which will be another smaller barn. So when the mothers actually start to get close to having babies, because we can tell, and when we let the boy in, we generally 9 times out of 10, Sandra and Molly will mark the time he's bred with them, and then we can count exactly when they're going to have their baby, and we can be quite accurate with that. Then we can bring the mothers just before they have their baby into a separate compound. She can have a baby, she can be with her baby for as long as each mother, and some mothers are different. Some are happy to leave the baby behind and just go and get back on with their lives, whereas others want to be more of a mum, normally the first time ones. They can stay in there for as long as we feel that they need to be in there, and then we can bring the mothers who will come into this barn that are going to be our milking goats. They can go out on the land all the time, and the little babies will stay in a compound there until they've grown to a big enough size that they're too big to fall in buckets and things like that. Not that we're going to have buckets anymore, we're going to have these waterers, but they get a bit abused by the bigger goats. If they're standing in the way of the feeder, a big goat will literally just, well, pick it up by its ear and throw it, or smash it out the way. They can be quite evil. So we want to keep that to a minimum for just for the goodness of the animals and everything else. So I wonder if it's going to go through an inch, this pipe, or whether it's going to go a couple of inches and then jam up, but it's not too bad, especially as it's got a curve in it. Oh, look at that, because that hole I drilled was perfect in size. I couldn't have made that diameter any better. Let me have a look inside. A bit more.
It's good. Diane's very curious as what you're shoving through her barn.
Hello, Diane. Has that met that wooden? Yep, that's perfect. I don't know why, but this thing's come with these weird brackets on it, which I don't quite understand what these are for. I mean, maybe actually, do you know what? I bet they're for bending out upwards and that way, like that. And you would put those in a wall in cement. What do you think? Do you think they should go in for cement or what? What do you think? You're going to like that to drink out of? Oh, you're going to like that to drink from? What do you think? Hey? No, don't like that, do you? So that's the size of the inlet. You can see against my index fingernail, it's tiny. So I've got some reducers and whatnot in the other barn, but I've got to work out how I'm going to fit this. I think the water level is going to come to about here. And I did wonder whether I actually drill some holes through the back of this and put that straight onto a piece of wood. Take these off or cut them off actually, because they're needed, because they hold this. May as well show everybody what it is. Like we said, they're not cheap for what they are. They're not cheap.
This one here was 45 euros.
So you've got a buoy, a little float in there, which is exactly the same float mechanism as we've got in the chicken barn. And this is to stop the animals obviously hitting it and bending it, but the water comes out through the bottom to fill up the container. And it's actually pretty heavy. It's cast, so cast aluminium, I would have said. So that goes back in there. So I need to keep some of this, so I might have to cut that off. We can have a baby feeder smaller than this, lower down in the babies area. This is going to be higher up, and it won't matter because we're not going to have small little goats like that. At the moment we're going to have to put a smaller container in here temporarily, but we're going to hang it up to a certain point and make sure that that bowl is so small that the goats, there's no chance that they're actually going to get in it and drown in it.
Even smaller than the chicken ones we used.
I mean, look, I mean, you can see them drinking there like that. I don't know what's happened. If a bigger one like this has come in, pushed it, and the poor thing's gone in head first. I don't know what's happened, but unfortunately she's gone. It's life, it's part of having a farm, but like we said earlier, I really feel it's sort of my fault, to be quite honest. So anyway, let's get on with this. You had brackets coming off here. I've just taken those off so it's flush. I've drilled 2 holes in here, and I've got 2, apart from you eating my shirt, little one. It's not going to come off of there in a hurry. You can see there's the float valve inside, and we'll cover that back up now. There's one there like that. I'm going to have to drill a hole down the back there, which I thought I would. Right, let's hope this has got enough of the PTFE tape on it. This isn't the right hose, this bit's going to get changed. It's just all we could find in the village yesterday. Right. Hello. Hello. Would you like a drink of that? No? You want some? No? Alright, alright, alright. What about you, little one? Would you like some of that? No? Alright, let's just quickly turn that off. Jubilee clip. Oh yes, it fits. Woohoo!
Do you want the silver bowl to go under it?
No. For now, I'm going to turn it on. We've had it filled up a little bit, but obviously when the buoy comes up, it stops the water. Pretty simple. Most of them are like that. So. And when I come up this afternoon, I'm going to put a hole through here that we can put the locking pin in there. They're not going to be able to, with their head up, they're not going to be able to reach into this, which is why we need to temporarily give them a shallow water bath to drink from. But as you can see, even a baby this big is going to struggle to drown itself inside that. So when they're this size, then they can start coming in with the mums again. Oh, what was that? You like that t-shirt, don't you, mate? Eh? Don't you, darling? You like that t-shirt, don't you? Hey. So let's hope we can keep the rest of these little ones safe. hello you. Oh, what you doing? Oh, what you doing? Hey, what you doing? Dear girl. You like tickles, don't you? Right. So after the bit you've just seen of me in the goat shed, we were going to try and go out on the boat, but we didn't have time, so I thought I'd go for a quick blast on the bike around the lake, which ended up turning into a sort of a longer bike ride. And I had a crash, quite a big crash actually, to the point I've just put my shirt on again so you can see it, because Molly actually filmed me coming back covered in blood. I came off so hard, I ripped my t-shirt in half. I really walloped my shoulder, slid down the road. I've opened my leg up down here. I've actually stuck a rock in my leg. And the worst thing is I hit the ground at about 40 miles an hour and I've actually hit my head quite badly. I don't need to go to hospital. But I've had concussion for about 2 days, and I actually managed to delete the bit of video that Molly took of me in the driveway coming back on the bike, and the next bit of video you're about to see wouldn't make sense unless I tell you this. So I should have had my bike helmet on. I didn't have my bike helmet on, and before any of you guys sort of want to have a go at me online, I used to do a lot of downhill mountain biking, and I've got more safety gear than you can shake a stick at. I'll put a picture up of some of the mountain biking I used to do and some of the equipment I used to wear, so I'm fully aware I should have had a helmet on, but the bike ride wasn't meant to be what it turned into be. But I'm all right now. My leg's still very sore, and my headaches have gone, so we were a bit late posting last week's video, and this is why. Plus, all the rain's turned up, which I'm sure you're going to see on lots of other channels, but it's great that the rain has arrived because we need it. So anyway, on to the bit about Molly.
So just a quick update on Dad. He is okay, but his leg does look like a bit of a horror scene. There's still quite a lot of dried blood on the side of his leg. But the Ellie guide was really, really useful when we were installing the water feeder. We realised we would have walked 5 kilometres going back and forth collecting all of the tubing, drill bits, O-rings and all the stuff that we forgot. But I would like to say a huge thank you to Jasper from the Portugal project, as he has been building us a website, which is some really good news here on the farm. So we will let you guys know when our website is going live, and there will be a link to Jasper's video in the description below when he visited our farm last week. So next week I am off out and I'm going to be helping some of our Patreons with some translation work, as they are currently here in Portugal and need help with NIF numbers and bank accounts and such. So I will be helping out with that. And I would like to say a thank you to Jean for your really big super thanks. So thank you for that. But on an unfortunate note, YouTube is taking 30% of every single super like or super thanks that we receive. And we really do appreciate all of the support we receive here on the channel, and it helps our channel grow and it helps the goats and it really helps the farm. So we have done some looking into this, and we have noticed that PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee take the smallest percentages. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone who buys us a coffee, supports us on Patreon, and even if they like our video. So if you've made it this far into this week's video, why don't you go ahead and leave a goat emoji down in the video so we know you've made it this far into the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment, and we will see you back here next week.